Okay, took some notes here. Hashtag war on pretty. The first time I ever saw that hashtag, it was Mother Twerks. Okay. I'd never seen that before, but it resonated with me. And so, in speaking about Shanquella Robinson today, I want to come at it from a colorism angle. And I know that sounds petty, but I really do believe the politics of colorism was a contributing factor in the jealousy. And before I get started, y'all are killing me calling her Shakila. There's a big fat N in that girl's name, Shanquella. Please do not besmirch our beautiful African American names. They are our identity. If you're going to be reporting on the story, discussing the story, that's fine, but go the extra distance. Don't just hashtag say her name, but hashtag say her name correctly. As a person who was born with a name like Chocolate Angel, and my name is spelled phonetically chocolate, it's the most, like here, I went to Starbucks and I spelled my name out for them. I said my name, Chocolate, and then I spelled it, chocolate. And here's what they wrote. Chockit. Who is chocolate? Is that Sanskrit? Anyhow, I don't want to get too off the subject because I can definitely ramble on. Anyhow, I want to start here. I want to start with Color 101. Okay, if you've ever taken an art class, you understand colors that contrast, colors you mix to make other colors, and colors that belong in a color family. Okay, biracial people tend to be interesting to look at. Maybe attractive, maybe not. Maybe unattractive, maybe not, but interesting to look at because of contrast, right? So think of, and vice versa with black people, with all people in contrast, right? So imagine you see a really dark-skinned guy and he's got blue eyes, bright blue eyes. Even though there's a white person with blue eyes right next to him, your eyes are going to beg you to look at that dark-skinned guy, right? Because it's a greater contrast. Or Michael Jackson, how pale his skin became and how black his hair would be, as opposed to his older, very handsome brother, Jackie Jackson, him having pitch black hair as well. Like, the contrast is harder and higher on Michael because the colors differ so much. So if I paint a brown picture on a brown canvas, it's a dark brown canvas, it's a light brown paint that I'm using. You'll have to be all up in the picture to see what I painted, as opposed to if I chose the color white to paint on that brown canvas, it would stand out and you could probably see it across the room, right? Contrast naturally draws the human eyes. So that is something that we do naturally with color, but here's what we do unnaturally with color, and that is colorism. Colorism is established in all communities of color that were colonized by Europeans. All of them. It's not just black women who talk about it. There are conversations all over the UK. Indian women have taken off. Indian women, Southeast Asian women have taken off in these conversations about colorism, all right? And shout out to Beyonce for including them in Brown Skin Girl. But I bring all this up because one of the most unsafe things to be in a girl group is the better than everybody else dark-skinned friend. Because nobody thinks you deserve it. And that's what women don't want to say out loud. Nobody thinks you deserve it. If you've got 2 black parents, you got type 4 hair, why are you prettier than me? It will make people upset. And when I say that, it might sound wild, but compare it to this right here. Rich whites, poor whites. You remember the antebellum South? When it comes to who committed more crimes against black bodies? Poor whites, right? Why? Because they were closer to the poor whites were closer to the status of N-word than were wealthy whites. So these people would be so offended by like you're black, like you're a nigger. Why are you wealthier than me? Why do you dress better than me? Why do you live better than me? You're a fucking nigger. And they would be so upset until they would hang us like strange fruit from trees because you're an uppity N-word, and that's not your place. Now, we don't like it when white people do it, but I tell you what, colorism is how we do it. And there is something to be said for being the baddest friend in the group when you're also the darkest. I mean, I have seen so many biracial women come through, like do the dark work on that, and like, oh, you know, my white mom fed me all kinds of ideas about me being superior to blacks who are not mixed, and I really had to come to grips with why black girls didn't like me, and it wasn't because they were jealous, it's because of how I treated them, blah, 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 right? Because it's a real thing. And I say that to say this. We saw Dejanay on the camera beating on Shanquella. Who we didn't see was Winter, the light, bright, damn near white girl who body slammed Shanquella and may have done the ultimate damage. I mean, she's a normal looking light bright, but here's the deal. It be the mediocre looking ones who have a problem with beautiful dark skin. Like the badass biracials, like I've never had a problem from them. I've never had a problem from a Meghan Markle looking, Mariah Carey looking biracial. I haven't. And I know y'all are like, oh, Uppity, you're light skin. Like, don't do me. I tan very hard in the summer, and I fade very much in the winter. So I'm sort of kind of both, and I've had both experiences. I'm dark skin in the summer. I'm a full 100% dark skin, and I'm I guess a light skin girl in the winter. So what I'm saying is I have benefited and suffered under colorism. And it's insidious. It's like people don't even realize it's woven into how they treat people. It's just like if you try to confront a white person, they're just like, I'm not racist, I voted for Obama. I'm not colorist, my boyfriend's dark skinned. People don't want to hear it, but it's a thing. Anyhow, do you remember that reality show with Tiffany Pollard, New York, where she famously said, if you're going to be black, you need to stand in it in all shades? Do you remember what prompted her to say that? What prompted her to say that was mediocre biracial Laura Govan, who was married to a colorist basketball player, and Laura said this, I wish we had more light-skinned people on the show. Why would you say that? Benzino was sitting over here, light bright, looking like a yellow stoplight. Like, why would you say that? What would possess you to? And the show actually had really good representation of people of color, right? It had a black cast or whatever. Karamo was on the show. They had a good. The black people, their colors ran the gamut. It was good. It was a nice little mixed bag of M&M's, Skittles, whatever. But she said that because she's a mediocre light bright. She's just a normal looking, run-of-the-mill, nothing special about her look. And then you have, so she doesn't stand out. So in a colorist community, usually you can be a light bright and stand out, and you don't have to be very attractive. You don't have to be very attractive. You just have to have a certain kind of hair and a certain kind of skin color, and people will get over the rest. It's the same thing with all the overweight, palm-colored women who, if they can't get a man of their own group, they'll go and get a black man, because we have a colorist community. We have a colorist community. It's not just black men's fault. It's us, too. We have a colorist community. We can talk about colorist black men all day, but we will treat each other so bad. I see dark-skinned girls get the works because they're pretty as hell, and people are just like, no. So if you have ever watched the Black Manosphere, you have seen dark-skinned black women, my color and darker. Dark-skinned black women have to bend the knee to biracial people and white girls, non-black girls, whoever. They can be a newcomer in the manosphere, they can be there for just 1 month, but because it's the Black Manosphere, their values rule. And you'll see dark-skinned black women who have been there for forever never get that same pedestal because it's not valued. And these women flock to communities like the Black Manosphere because they know that that is where they can flex that I'm mixed, I'm light-skinned, I'm non-black, I'm better than you card, right? When they do that, they expect black women, and darker-skinned black women especially, to, quote, know their place. And nothing gets under the skin. I had a woman obsess over me, a biracial woman, because I didn't think I had a low estimation of her. I didn't think she was any better than me, and she could tell. There were a lot of black women, eager to forgive her for bad behavior, and, a derelict, just a ratchet, just a gutter, a lowlife of a human being. But people would be so eager to be her friend, be in her company, have alliances with her because all the guys liked her because she was mixed. And I'm like, I don't care. And she knew that that was a sincere statement. Meanwhile, all the other dark-skinned girls who were around me at the time, in these YouTube streets, were giving her the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, she called my dead baby a retarded mother effer. Like, what are you doing? That's the power of being biracial. I wrote a song about whatever. I'm not even going to go there. But yeah, check my music playlist. So what I'm trying to say is that it's actually a really abusive thing in the black community, this colorism stuff, and how it gets when you're the dark-skinned girl, or you're the one with 2 black parents and 2 black grandparents, and you're the stunner. These people were trying to beat Shanquella back into her position as like, no, you're not supposed to be above me. And here's the deal. When I heard Shanquella's voice and when I looked into who and how she was, and just like, most women aren't jealous of just pretty, right? Just pretty is like whatever, because you can be just pretty and be disgusting. Oh, you can. You can be just pretty and be a pass around. You can be just pretty and be a whoop-de whoop 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 on drugs, whatever it is, something unattractive, meth head, whatever. But she had beauty on the inside. So when you have that beauty on the inside and you have the nerve to look like that on the outside, and then you have the nerve to have 2 black parents, like if she would have been like some clap out my syllables, hot temper, hood rat, whatever, with how she looked, then that would have been acceptable. But that was a sweetheart. That was an entrepreneur. That was a girl you wanted to be like. I mean, it's giving Jada Wada. And it's not okay. When I saw the girls who got rid of Shanquella, I wasn't surprised at how they look. And I know that people think that it's mean to say that, because I think the deal is this: the girls were not unattractive. It was an attractive friend group. The problem is she was the Beyonce between them, and she wasn't supposed to be. She wasn't supposed to be. It was supposed to be light bright. That was her way in. That was her way into her rage and jealousy. Some toothless knucklehead boy probably said, I like her. She's cool. And it could have set her off. Or somebody's parents may have, preferred. How do I say this? Shanquella wasn't just pretty. She had beauty. And when you have that, and you're from the hood like everybody else, and you're black like everybody else, and you're darker than everybody else, they need you to sit on the bottom rung of that hierarchy because they feel threatened in their position. Like, in a colorism hierarchy, people are eager to keep their seats, and nobody wants to be demoted. And so All I'm trying to say is that people are willing to do the most psychologically to maintain their status in a hierarchy. And this is why I know Georgia was tripping about who was elected in the gubernatorial. I'm like, dude, you know, white women talk all this stuff about, oh, we're women and we need to come together regardless of color. But I'm just like, you vote white every time. Every single time, because you know where you are in this hierarchy and you know that you're second in command and you don't want to lose that. So regardless of what you see is wrong or whatever, you're thinking about yourself and what you can get with your status and your value that comes from your skin color. I would love to have some dark-skinned women, some darker-skinned women comment in the comment section, because I know that would happen to a lot of my friends, my relatives. I grew up hating light-skinned black people. I didn't mind biracials, but I hated light-skinned black people. And people thought it was the weirdest thing because I didn't know that I was, quote, light-skinned. I'm just like, because, you know, my mom and my sisters are not. But every time a girl would get into a fight with my sisters, they would always go in on their skin color. Oh, midnight, Black and Decker, whoop-de-whoop-whoop-whoop. And I'm just like, you're mad. You're like really mad. Like, you want to fight my sister because she's a model, because she's a size fucking 0. Fight me. Oh, I'm big. I've been She-Hulk all my life. Like I'm not gonna stand up right now, but I'm a huge person. But I'm like I'm taller than all my sisters and I'm the youngest. But it was like they couldn't believe that their boyfriends preferred my sisters because they're just like, well, I'm mixed. What do you mean? Like, this is not how this is supposed to go. And it would get violent. It would get violent in middle school. It would get violent in high school. And it was just like, I mean, it's hard on a pretty girl, period. I have a video that I made a long time ago that was, I said we have to make a concerted effort to be nicer to dimes and nines because in reality, they're outskirts. They are not the norm. They are as much of a weirdo as a person who has, like, you know, a mental behavioral disability. That sounds like a weird thing to say, but people treat attractive people like they have no feelings. People project onto them. People are mean to them, hoping that, you know, well, she's thinking, oh, she's going to reject me anyway, or he's going to be mean to me anyway, so let me humble this person. It's just like, whoa. I've routinely seen some of the most beautiful women with mediocre looking guys. It's just like he was the nicest to her. People are, oh God, pretty girl woes are real. And I'm not saying that I have them because I think I'm normal looking, right? I just am in love with myself, but you know, I know what outstanding and what is normal. And I'm just like, it's hard. I've watched it with my own eyes. To be dark-skinned and badder than everybody around you. Don't be the baddest dark-skinned girl in your friend group. Get another friend group. Don't be the kindest person. Don't be the, like, whatever you are. If you're leading in more than 3 qualities, leave. Erica De Niro said something like this: know your friends thing is old, because you can have a friend for 9 years, 10 years, and 20 years and not know that they hate you. The reason this Shanquella story is hitting me so hard is I had a friend for 17 years. I loved that girl so much. There was nothing I wouldn't do for her. If it was money, if it was my physical body, I'd be to hurt somebody. Like, I just loved her. And the thing was, she admired me and was entertained by me, but like, she hated me as much as I loved her, and I had no idea. I thought maybe, you know, I was such a soft person back then. I'm like, did I say something? Did I do something? Like, I would immediately take stock of myself. And I'm just like, when I look back on all the situations her and her friends would, like, they were a different race, you know, People will keep you around because they don't like you. And they want to keep tabs on you and they want to see how you move. I remember I hadn't been working for a while, and every time I would try to apply for a job, she would be like, okay, degree holder, you're better than that. Why would you work there? I'm just like, because I need to get a job. And she's like, hold out for this and this and this. And that made me dependent on her, right? But I thought she was giving me good advice. She wanted to keep me beneath her. She was scared for me to exceed her. I didn't know that. And so many other things happen, like with men and just things that are girl code. And I would tell myself, oh, she's from another country. Maybe it's different there, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just like, I took her for my sister. And she hated me. And I found out from some guy she was friends with that had a crush on me. He was like, she hates you. She hates you. And he just started running down and rambling off these situations from my personal life, things that I've gone through. Jokes about it, just mean stuff about it, stuff that he could never know unless she said something. And I was like, I've never done you like this, and I would never do you like this. Like, I love you for real. But you know what her problem was? She thought I was better than her. And she's just like, how is a nigger better than me? I'm this ethnicity and I look like this. How is an African American girl? How do people see us together and not just see me? How come people want to know her and like her and she gets all the attention, blah, blah, blah. And I would gladly pass it to her because that was my sister as far as I was concerned. And I was just like, we're sisters and sisters fight. I fought with, my sisters. It's a sibling kind of thing. It's all good. But everything I was, everything I had, I'm like, it's yours too. I failed out of one of my majors at my university because ESL, she wasn't really good at writing essays in English. She would translate the languages into, she'd be speaking 3 languages in her head and her grammar would be bad. And I was just like, you're my sister, I got you. Let's just say I could have got kicked out of that university if I got caught for how much of her work that I would do. But I learned so much about so many subjects because she would put her friends on to me and, basically pimp me out intellectually, I don't know. But I just thought I was doing something like, I'm helping my people out, blah, 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 because I had this, very naive heart. Until I did so much of their work that I've graduated from 3 universities, blah, 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 blah. I've got a number of certifications and diplomas. But the point is, I flunked out of one of my majors because I was burdened with her work. And I say that to say that was my sister in my head. But she had no wherewithal for what was happening to my GPA and that I was losing, that I was sacrificing. She didn't care. I didn't know she didn't care. But, I would blame myself for things and I would just fight harder and I couldn't see, I couldn't tell. And so I'm making this video because now I can see and I can tell. And I would look at her. I didn't see the signs because I would look at her and be like, you're everything. How could you be jealous of me? There's no way that that's true. There's no way that that's a thing. But she was. And she was willing to destroy me.